200 feet of unstable mud and gold rush landfill lie beneath one of San Francisco's priciest skyscrapers. The developers knew. Their own engineers forecast the sinking. To save $4 million, they chose foundations that stopped 100 feet short of bedrock, then sold $750 million in luxury condos without a word. The crisis beneath Millennium Tower was built into the ground long before the first resident moved in. Beneath the pavement of Mission Street, the ground tells a story millions of years in the making. The first 30 feet are a patchwork of gold rush debris, broken bricks, river gravel, and loose sand, dumped by hand and barge to claim new land from the bay in the 1850s. Below that, a thick layer of young bay mud waits, dark and saturated, its silty clay as soft as modeling dough, compressing under any weight it bears. Further down, at about 70 feet, the soil turns to Colma sand, a relic of ancient shorelines, offering a firmer grip but still shifting over time. Beneath the sand, Old Bay clay forms a dense, stubborn barrier, yet even this layer bends slowly under pressure. Only at nearly 200 feet does the earth finally harden into Franciscan bedrock, a jumble of chert and serpentinite that has weathered centuries of tectonic stress. Each of these layers reacts differently to the weight above. The fill and mud compress and move, unable to hold a skyscraper steady for long. Engineers call this a heterogeneous profile, one that resists easy solutions. Foundations built on these upper soils rely on friction, the grip between concrete piles and the earth, rather than anchoring directly into the bedrock. In contrast, the nearby Salesforce Tower stands on end-bearing piles that reach all the way to the rock, its weight transferred deep below the shifting layers. Borehole logs from the city's own archives show the Franciscan complex at roughly 200 feet, a depth that separates stable ground from the ever-changing world above. The Millennium Tower's fate was sealed by this vertical stack, a fragile foundation set atop a restless, layered past. In 2003, Millennium Partners faced a critical choice. The engineering team presented two options for the tower's foundation: drive piles all the way to the Franciscan bedrock nearly 200 feet below, or stop short and rely on skin friction in the upper layers of sand and clay. The first option, favored by many in the industry for high-rises on reclaimed land, would have added about $4 million to the project's $350 million budget. The second, friction piles reaching only 60 to 90 feet, promised faster construction and immediate savings. A confidential cost memo circulated among the developers highlighted the $4 million difference as a key advantage. Meeting minutes from that summer show no recorded objections, even as engineers quietly forecasted 4 to 6 inches of settlement over the building's life. The city's building code did not require an independent peer review, and Millennium Partners declined a voluntary one, despite a nearby tower project being halted after a peer panel flagged foundation risks in similar soils. Internal correspondence shows the decision was driven by cost and schedule, not by new technical evidence. The friction pile system was considered good enough to meet minimum code, and the city approved the permit without further challenge. The $4 million saved on foundation work would be dwarfed by the tower's eventual legal and repair costs, but in 2003, with the real estate market booming, the incentive to move quickly overruled the warnings embedded in technical reports and city archives. The gamble was set in concrete, and the risk was buried beneath the surface. By the end of 2008, before a single resident moved in, the Millennium Tower had already sunk more than 10 inches. Double the settlement forecast engineers had put on paper. Internal monitoring logs, submitted to city inspectors but kept from public view, tracked the steady drop as the building's 686,000-ton weight pressed into the layers of sand and clay below. As the numbers climbed, the developer's legal team and the homeowners association received regular updates. Prospective buyers, however, saw only glossy marketing brochures promising a state-of-the-art foundation and panoramic city views. Sales surged despite the silence. By 2013, The building had generated over $750 million in revenue, with units selling for as much as $13 million each. The tower's luxury image never hinted at the hidden movement beneath the floors. In public statements and press releases, Millennium Partners highlighted design awards and architectural features, omitting any mention of ongoing settlement. The city's building department, aware of the data, did not require further disclosure. For years, the reality of the tower's sinking remained locked away in technical reports and private emails, even as the building filled with new residents. The true scale of the problem would only come to light after the damage was already done. A simple marble set loose on a polished condo floor became the turning point. In August 2016, Jerry Dodson filmed a short clip inside his Millennium Tower unit. The marble rolled steadily toward one wall, tracing the invisible slope that residents had felt for months. Within hours, the video aired on NBC Bay Area and spread across social media. Suddenly, the building's tilt, once buried in engineering reports, was undeniable. The roofline now leaned nearly 14 inches off-center, with a measured drop of 0.7 inches at the very top. Dodson's marble didn't just reveal a slant. It exposed years of withheld data and ignited a public outcry. The clip landed like a legal grenade. Within weeks, 9 separate lawsuits landed in San Francisco Superior Court. Owners, the Homeowners Association, and even the city itself pointed fingers at Millennium Partners, the original engineers, and the construction teams. Law firms scrambled to sign clients, and the legal ranks swelled to 146 attorneys across 40 different firms. Court filings cited the marble video as Exhibit A, arguing that the building's defect was now plain for anyone to see. By the end of 2016, city records showed $15.7 million had already been spent on legal fees and expert witnesses. The marble's path across a hallway floor set off a chain reaction, forcing engineers, regulators, and developers to confront the problem in full public view. Ronald Hamburger, the structural engineer charged with rescuing Millennium Tower, proposed a bold fix: drill 52 new piles down to the Franciscan bedrock, nearly 275 feet below the city streets. The plan called for transferring much of the building's weight onto these deep anchors, bypassing the soft fill and mud that had failed the original foundation. But as drilling began in late 2020, vibration monitors registered an unexpected blow: a full inch of extra settlement in just 1 month, triggered by the pile installation itself. Facing mounting concern and spiraling costs, the project was dramatically scaled back. Only 18 piles were completed, focused along the northwest and west edges where the tilt was most severe. By August 2025, engineers confirmed that the building had stopped sinking and even recorded a slight lift on the north side. Still, the correction fell short of hopes. The lean diminished by just 1 inch, leaving a residual tilt of nearly 28 inches at the northwest corner. Homeowners faced a $6.8 million surcharge to cover cost overruns and new monitoring systems. The retrofit halted the drop, but the skyscraper's tilt and its story remained impossible to ignore. Real estate listings for Millennium Tower now read like cautionary tales. Since the crisis went public, resale values have dropped by 30 to 50%, with some luxury units selling for half their original price. Lenders have tightened their standards, and several banks refuse to issue new mortgages for the building, citing ongoing risk. Insurance premiums have climbed, and owners face higher assessments to cover depleted reserves. Even after the retrofit, engineers continue to track subtle movement in the tower's core, a reminder that the original mat foundation still rests on compressible fill. Surveys conducted after 2025 show that while the perimeter is stable, the central structure settles along a slow, unpredictable curve. In response, San Francisco passed a law in 2022 requiring independent peer review for any high-rise foundation that doesn't reach bedrock. The ordinance now halts projects until outside experts sign off, closing a loophole that once let cost and speed override caution. Salesforce Tower, anchored deep into Franciscan bedrock, stands nearby without a hint of settlement. The contrast between these towers is now written into city code, a lesson forged from the unfinished business beneath Millennium Tower. More than a decade later, Millennium Tower's fix remains uncertain, and hundreds still live with the risk. In a city racing skyward, shortcuts carry real consequences. San Francisco's skyline isn't just a triumph of ambition, it's a warning written in concrete, steel, and sinking ground below. What would you do?